Hello, everybody. This week we're going to talk about having a scholarly survey, basically looking at different intellectual and academic historical ideas and how they affect the writing in the academic sphere and the narratives that we read, teach, and dissect. I've entitled this week's video Progressives, Revisionists, and Intellectual Honesty. We're basically going to look at the argument between progressive historians and revisionist historians. And in those camps, we have Frederick Jackson Turner and his, pivotal piece written in the 1920s. And I have the title here, The Significance of the Frontier in American History. And then his student, whom Turner trained, was Herbert Eugene Bolton. And he wrote a pivotal piece along the same lines, looking at it from a different aspect about the West, called The Spanish Borderlands, a chronicle of old Florida and the Southwest. And in the other camp, in the revisionist camp, I'm going to utilize two well-known contemporary historians that basically attacked the Turner thesis in the 90s, and that is Limerick and Weber. So let's get right to it. Basically, you have Frederick Jackson Turner, and in his well-known The Frontier of the American West piece, he argues for typical progressive American imperialism that was destined to conquer the savage backwoods of the West. In turn, Bolton then would argue that American imperialism is to be understood through the lens of Spanish American imperialists as paving the way for Americans to move in. In the other camp, you have revisionist historians who have attacked this thesis and argue that both Turner and Bolton marginalize the events and the people of the West and basically leave out social and cultural history and the narratives that stem from that analysis. I'm going to put two pieces forward that I found by a well-known historian. The first one is Patricia Nelson Limerick, who is a revisionist. She's a Marxist historian, and her piece, which was a big deal in the historical world, Tunarians All, the Dream of a Helpful History in an Intelligible World. And Limerick is always very forward. She doesn't hide her theories and ideas on history. And Weber, who's a little more subtle in his piece, Turner, the Boltonians and the Borderlands, both are refuting Turner and Bolton's theories and views of the expansion of early America into the West. In general, Limerick and Weber refute Turner's thesis through a Marxist analysis. Limerick and Weber both utilize a Marxist argument of thesis and antithesis. And what this is a Hegelian dialectic, which states that all things begin with an idea or a thesis, then they are challenged or contradicted by antithesis, finally being resolved by synthesis. And simplified, this would mean problem, reaction, solution. Both Limerick and Weber speak in Marxist terms of the oppressed and the oppressor, which is how the revisionist historian sees almost all of history. Indeed, Weber uses the terms invaders and the invaded. Turner and Bolton both use the same tactic, only you turn it around in a more imperialistic view, and they use terms like savages and civilized. And what the revisionists have done is simply, over time, move the Overton window. They do not actually change the fundamental analytic methodology by which they analyze the West. They're just moving the window. Progressive and revisionist historians both exclude, discount, and scorn classical liberal writings and interpretations, biblical worldviews, and historical analysis, which do not function on the Marxist groupthink, collectivization theories, and an overall lack of historical empiricism and pragmatism. So that is what we have this week. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and thank you for watching.